This is a demonstration of Photomatrix Pro version 4.2.5. I have the shortcut to it right here on the desktop. So let's go ahead and open up Photomatrix and see how it works. Photomatrix comes up initially with a workflow here on the left hand side, and everything is pretty much in order for what you need to do first. Right now the only options are to load bracketed photos or to do it in a batch. So we'll load bracketed photos right there with a click. New little dialog opens up and it says select image files taken under different exposures. Either use the browse button or drag the files below. Show intermediary 32-bit HDR image. So we'll click on browse and we'll go up here to my Smith Center file and we'll pick up, let's see, theatrical art painting. Okay, we're going to select all of these and click open, and it brought the files into the loading area. Click OK. It's going to ask us to align source images, or if we want to crop the align images by matching features. Include perspective correction. Remove ghosts. I always click that even though I don't expect there to be any ghosts in this automatically. Reduce the noise on all source images. Other options would be only on the underexposed images or something like that, but Photomatrix recommends that you reduce it on all the images. And reduce chromatic aberrations. Chromatic aberration, in simple words, is color fringing on the bright areas. Raw conversion settings, the white balance we're leaving it on auto, but the options here are as shot, daylight, cloudy, shade, tungsten, fluorescent, or custom. You can get quite a variety of different effects in your final photo if you play around with those different white balances there, but for now we'll leave it on auto. And the color primaries are based on sRGB, the standard really for printing in most cases. Alternatives would be Adobe RGB or ProPhoto RGB. We'll leave it at sRGB and click OK. Now it says it's converting the raw files 99, 95, 96, and 97. Reducing the noise. We asked it to reduce noise. It's aligning the images. Merging to HDR. Reducing chromatic aberrations. We also asked Photomatrix to do that for us. Not that I expected there to be any, but what the heck, it'll do it, so let it go ahead and try. And so here we are with our preliminary image. This, I believe, is the 32-bit HDR image that they talked about. So the next item on the workflow is tone mapping and fusion. So we'll click on that. And it brings up a different screen. I don't know why the workflow shortcuts are overlying here, so I'm going to move that out of the way. You'll notice on the right hand side we have a series of presets, And under presets we can choose realistic or short list or artistic, black and white, or fusion. I leave it on realistic. And then the presets named here are default, photographic, natural, enhanced, and so on down the line. On the left hand side of the screen we have a bunch of sliders, and as I click on the different presets over here on the right, you will notice that the sliders change positions and the appearance of the photo in the middle also changes. So keep an eye on the sliders here, and I'm going to click on default over here on the right. The sliders changed position, as did the appearance of the image. If I click on photographic, sliders change positions again. Natural, enhanced, soft, etc. So let's go through the list of presets and see which one we like best. Remember now, you're the artist and this is your creation, so there are no rights or wrongs here. Whatever appears best to you is the way it should be. So we'll go to default, and actually this looks okay to me. I don't see any undue dark shadows in corners or anything like that. So we'll keep default in mind on this particular image. If we go to photographic, it really darkened things up quite a bit. So I don't care that much for photographic in this case. Other images will work out differently, but this one I don't care for photographic. Natural. Probably better than default because you don't have quite that orangey appearance of the walls and so on. Enhanced. Brightened it up. I think in this case enhanced is probably better than natural, but let's continue down the line and see what other options are. They have something called soft. Really brightened everything up, probably too much. Soft 2, dimmed it down a little bit, but I don't like it as well as one of the others. Soft 3. Now this one I think is pretty good. So far, soft 3 is the one I like the best. Let's look at soft 4. Too dark. Smooth, too bright. Smooth 2, kind of medium, but still preferring soft 3 at this point. Deep. There's deep, yeah. I don't care for that. Adjusted. Now you got more colors that pop, but things are pretty dark up here in the corner. Fusion, intensive. Not bad. We'll compare that with soft 3 up there. Fusion auto. Doesn't seem to be much difference between that and intensive. A little bit. Fusion of 2 images. Don't care for that at all. So let's look at and compare Fusion Intensive and compare that with Soft 3. Soft 3 is just a little brighter. I do believe I prefer that one. So let's use this as our starting point and go over here to the sliders. I don't think this needs much adjustment, but let's just, for demonstration purposes, let's see what some of these sliders do. They've got, the first slider is they call strength, and currently it's set on 10. Let's drop that down to 0 and see what it does. It just makes everything a little bit dimmer. Let's go to the other extreme and go to 100, and boy, that really made it too intensive. Let's go somewhere in the middle and see what that looks like. Again, a little too intensive. Normally you wouldn't make such dramatic changes. If you liked Soft 3, for example, which I did in this case, you don't normally need to make dramatic changes, but we're just playing with it here a little bit. So let's go back to 10. I think that's good. Color saturation, currently set at 39. Let's go up to 100. Oh dear. Well, that's obviously not going to work. And 0 just makes it a black and white photo. So we'll go back to 39, 40, something like that. That looks good to me. You can also play with luminosity. Luminosity, to me, you could call it brightness, I guess. Currently it's set on 10. If we put it down to 0, it dims the photo down. We'll leave it at 10. Detail contrast. We don't have to play with all of these. Smoothing the highlights, the white point, the black point, gamma, temperature, micro smoothing, saturation highlights, saturation shadows, saturation smoothness, shadows clipping. All different things you can play around with, but this looks pretty good to me. I don't think there's any need to beat a dead horse here. So we're going to go ahead and say process. So it's tone mapping using Details Enhancer. So now they give you one final crack at making some adjustments called Finishing Touches. And there are 3 tabs called Contrast, Color, and Sharpening. I generally like to add mild contrast. So I click on that and add just a bit of contrast. I think that helps it. In color, they give us all the colors of the rainbow here, and we can play around with those sliders to our heart's content. I think the colors are fine the way they are. Sharpening. Sometimes a little mild sharpening helps. Yeah, it sort of intensified the color saturation a little bit. I think we'll leave it mild sharpening. And then we'll say done. That's really all there is to it. So the next thing to do is save as. Normally keep the default file name here, although I always go to save the TIFF version first, 16-bit TIFF. In this case, however, I am going to change the default file name to tone mapped A. And save it. Then I'm going to save it as again, and this time I'm going to change it to a JPEG file. Save it. And that's all there is to it, really. At this point, you can close all, or you can just plain exit. If you're going to do additional photos, you can close all, which just basically erases the current project, and you can then go back and load more bracketed photos from a different folder or whatever. But for now, we're done, so we're going to go ahead and X out of Photomatrix. And that is how Photomatrix Pro works.